Hi everyone. So here we are again at season 2, episode 2 of how can you successfully apply to a customer success management job. My name is Frederike and I have been working in customer success and sales at companies like LinkedIn, Miro and Seismic, and I have been at the interview process on both sides. So I have been on the side as an interviewee where I applied to customer success management roles myself, and so I have a good knowledge and understanding of what hiring managers are looking for. But on the other side, I have been also the one customer success management lead that is looking or was looking for her own team. So I designed the whole interview process and I interviewed many customer success managers and potential customer success managers for my own teams. So a very good understanding of what is important on both sides, on the side of the person that applies to a customer success management role, but also on the side of basically looking for customer success managers for my own team. And this knowledge I want to share with you in or with the goal and with the objective that you have everything that you need to successfully apply to a customer success management job. What we will be doing in season 2, episode 2, is that I will give you a recap of what customer success is again. If you are completely new to customer success, I advise you to really stay tuned and have a look at this episode. If you already have a good understanding of customer success, it might be not as valuable, but still, what I often see is that even for those people that have a good understanding of customer success, it's always valuable and helpful to go back and see, okay, where does customer success management actually come from? And why is it so important? What are the objectives? Why are these the objectives? And what are the main tasks and responsibilities of customer success managers? Because eventually, if you apply and if you watch this video, it's not only that you watch it because probably you just want to watch it just out of fun, but normally that you want to apply. And even if you have some customer success experience and are looking for more senior roles, it's always helpful to have this knowledge and these insights in place. So it's not only that you apply for a role, but you're more applying for the whole concept of customer success and the idea and the objectives of customer success for a company. So let's get started for this episode 2, where we'll talk about the recap of what is customer success again. And I will be doing this with three topics that we will be covering. So the first is about the industry. So I will give you an insight in which industry customer success is mostly hired. Then we will go into the objectives of the customer success management role. And then thirdly, we will cover accountabilities and tasks of customer success managers. So let's jump here. And we will start, let's say, way back. And way back is not necessarily way back in time, but mostly it is. But it can also be way back that it's just a different business model that companies are still employing today. So what we will often see, and that is the distinction that we make here, is that you have either a non-subscription business model or you have a subscription business model for your products. Some companies can also have both of them, but we make this distinction here because customer success managers are especially valued and hired in the subscription business model, which is often called SaaS business, which is not exactly the same, but it's often referring to subscription businesses as software as a service. So if we look at non-subscription versus subscription business models, let's have first a look at the non-subscription business model. So for the non-subscription business model, I always like to take the CD or the DVD and think about maybe the old days, maybe when you were a teen, depending on your age, obviously. But for me, when I was a teen, there you had these DVDs and these CDs, and you buy them, and you just go to a store, you buy them, and then you can watch the video or listen to the CD whenever you want to do, and as long as you want to do, until at that point that it might break. Even normally it didn't really break that much, but so you basically buy this product and you can use it as often as you want and as long as you want for this one time that you bought it. So that's what I put here. It's the one time buying and you can listen or watch it whenever you want and wherever you want and as long as you want for this one price that you paid. Subscription, on the other hand, is a newer concept. It's a concept that comes from SaaS, so from software as a service. So Spotify, for example, is a SaaS company. And Spotify, it's a different concept. It's not the concept that you buy it once and then you can always listen to it, but you buy the possibility to listen to the music for a specific period of time. And the specific period of time is given by the fact that you pay subscription fee for Spotify on a monthly or maybe yearly basis. So it's not you're buying once and you listen always, but it's a buying for X time, for the time that you pay, and then you have the listening ability. If you stop paying, you also lose the listening ability, which is on one hand, obviously for the consumer, really great because you can listen to way more music than you otherwise could have by buying all these DVDs or all these CDs. And for Spotify, it also gives them the possibility that they have recurring revenue, so they can way better plan their revenue, and they can also make updates and improvements of the product because they are way more able to plan for that because they have this recurring revenue. We go into this a bit more into detail, but just for you here, which is really important, is a non-subscription business model, there's a subscription business model, and customer success managers are mainly hired for the subscription business model. And I come to this, why this is so important. But first, some additional examples for the non-subscription and the subscription. So non-subscription, for example, I just came up with an apple. I'm not sure if you realize that this should be an apple, but it's an apple. Okay, I buy an apple, I can eat it, and that's it. There's no subscription fee for an apple. There's none probably for a light. I just buy a light bulb and that's it. And I buy a book and that's it. On the other hand, we have subscription business models. So one, for example, could be Headspace. Headspace is offering meditation videos online, and you can, you basically pay a fee, a monthly fee, and then you can watch as many of those videos as you want to. And whenever you stop your subscription, you're also not able to listen or view those videos again or anymore. Microsoft is also a subscription business where either individuals or companies can invest in their products, and then they can use Microsoft products like Excel, PowerPoint, and so on as long as they pay. Microsoft had a non-subscription business model earlier. So I remember when I was a bit younger, then there was also the possibility to just buy the Microsoft suite and you buy it once and then you could even use it for whatever time you want to. But they changed that. And Miro, the company and the product that I'm using here for this for these videos and for the content, is also a subscription business where you buy licenses so that you can use Miro and the whiteboarding for whatever business processes you look for. But what I want to kind of mention is that we talked about non-subscription and subscription examples. But if we take, for example, the Apple, then what's sometimes the case is that, for example, here in Munich and in Germany, you have also kind of these vegetable boxes. So you can say, I want to have a vegetable box every once a week or every once in 2 weeks. And then I get this box and with all the vegetables. And then 2 weeks later, I get another box with all the vegetables. And so to some extent, that's also a subscription business because at least you're paying on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis to get all these vegetables. And so to some extent, that's also a form of subscription business. And then also for the light, there is something that's called light as a service. So for example, I know a business where they have industrial lighting systems and they offer these lighting systems as a service to companies. And so they also call themselves lighting as a service, and they also employ a subscription business, and they have and hire customer success managers. So even though you might think, oh, that's non-subscription, right? It actually turns out that more and more companies and more industries are moving into this as a service business, and to that extent also to a subscription business. So that's what we often talk about is, or what I like to talk about is the XaaS, XaaS, as I call it. I'm not sure if you can understand this in English, but in German it's like XaaS. So you feel the difference between the XaaS and the XaaS. And you say everything is sold as a service. And a fun fact, or just a very interesting fact, is that we see the industry rising, or the business model, put it that way, rising strongly. So, according to Business Wire in 2021, the world SaaS market size is estimated to be $270 billion. And we're talking SaaS, software as a service. We're not talking about light as a service and vegetables as a service and so on. So, only the software as a service business. And we see that they say, okay, with this growth rate that we see, we will have an estimated market size of over $307 billion in 2026. So, huge market, huge potential. It's growing strongly. And because we can see that all these other industries and branches are also moving to as a service business model, especially customer success becomes more and more important in those industries as well. But let's dive in of what does that mean, and I will zoom in a bit more so that you can actually see that. So what does that mean? So I talked about this before. So we have a one-time contract, and for a one-time contract, you buy the CD, you buy this DVD one time, and then you can use it however you want, whenever you want, how long you ever plan to use it. So that's more the old model, put it that way. The new one is that you have a yearly contract or you have a quarter yearly contract. So you invest in a product over and over again, and you renew this contract over and over again as long as you want to use the product. If you don't want to use the product anymore, you stop your subscription, but then you lose the possibility to use the product. And I give you the explanation why customer success is so important in that picture in a second, but I first want to do one additional topic just for you to get the clarification and the understanding, especially for those of you that are not into customer success that much yet. So, and this is the distinction between B2B and B2C. So, whenever you hear B2B, it means business to business. Whenever you hear B2C, it's business to consumer. And B2B basically means that a company is selling their products to other companies. So, how does that often play out in SaaS products and subscription products? Is, for example, that let's take Miro. So, Miro sells their platform to another company. And then you have, let's say, one person that buys and invests in Miro as the product. And then this person says, for example, okay, we invest now for Miro in the whole company. So we buy a number of licenses of all these people that are using the product. And so they might invest in let's say 1,000 or 10,000 licenses. And then each person in that company gets a license and can use Miro in that company. So that's B2B. B2C, however, is that a company directly sells to private consumers. So let's say Spotify, for example, where we have a company that says, okay, I want to have you be able to watch the videos, listen to the music. Now I was at Netflix, which is a similar business model. And so it sells to individuals like you and me. And just for the distinction, so B2B normally means that customer success gets way more complex and you're working more with like corporate clients. And for that reason, it makes it, as I said, a bit more complex and a bit different than if you have B2C models. And what we often see is that customer success managers are especially getting hired for B2B roles and B2B companies and businesses because there is a high complexity and many stakeholders involved, and you really need to have be able to connect all these dots. Whereas in B2C, there is more, let's say, automation possible. And for that reason, customer success managers are not as much hired as it is in the B2B industry. But so now, going back after this short excursus for B2B and B2C, what does that mean actually if we look at these yearly contracts and quarterly yearly contracts for the customer success manager? So if we have a yearly contract and a company or ourselves, we invest in a product on a constant basis. And as I said, the company can plan. They have an understanding, okay, 100% of all these companies, so all these people that invest in our products in a year, we estimate that there will be another 100%. So this is like just really basic math. It's not as, let's say, accurate as it could be, but that's something I might cover in one of the other seasons. But the company can plan, and it can plan to that extent that it has an understanding, okay, how many clients stay, and they want to make sure that as many clients as possible stay. They obviously want to keep the revenue, and ideally they want to grow the revenue because they're planning with that revenue and they plan their operations based on upon this revenue. So this is where customer success comes in, because customer success makes sure that those companies don't churn, so that those companies don't stop using and investing into the product. And so all these yellow arrows that you see here, especially for that reason, it says, okay, there needs to be a customer success manager that makes sure that the company stays and that the company reinvests. And there are also customer success managers that do this with not only making sure that clients stay, but also making sure that clients upsell and renew. So basically, that they invest more and more in the company. But often this is also covered by sales teams. So it depends a bit on how companies are structured on customer success and sales teams. If customer success managers also do the upselling and the cross selling, making sure that companies are investing more and more revenue. But the key point that customer success is doing is to make sure that the company sees the value and that the customer is willing to reinvest in the product. Because if they don't reinvest, this basically means losing a lot of revenue, losing a lot of money for the company that you employed at. And for that reason, the main goal of the customer success managers is that the client stays a client and that the customer grows. And the customer growing, this is a commercial target. So sometimes it's covered by sales teams, sometimes it's covered by customer success teams. But the key point is always making sure the client is successful, because if the client is successful, the client uses the product, the client sees the value of the product, then the client stays. And that's what customer success managers are accountable for. So they're accountable mainly for three things. One thing is that the client uses the product, because, yeah, if you don't use a product, how can you see if it's really valuable? And then probably you just stop using it. I mean, if I invest in Spotify, but I never listen to any kind of music on Spotify, then I would probably not reinvest, right? So really making sure that the client uses the product is a very one of the stepping stones to making sure that they see value and they want to renew the contract and reinvest in the product. The second thing is the client sees the value add. So we can say a client uses the product. They use it all over, but they always find bugs. There's always something that doesn't work. There's always something that drives them crazy. So if that's the case, then probably they might use it, but they're very frustrated, and it's likely that they will look for other solutions that are better suited to solve their problems or give them pleasure or whatever they wanted to achieve investing in the product. And so you really have to make sure that the client sees the value add. And there are various tools and methods that you can use to do that, which we will cover in different seasons and different courses. But for you to make sure that the client sees the value add is really key. And the third point is the client renews their contract. So if you are really good in the first two topics, then this is just a laggard KPI that says, and yeah, if you're really good in the other two, then this almost comes, let's say, automatically. That's not obviously as easy and as simple, but yeah, you can do a lot for the first two to achieve the third. And the fourth accountability, as I said before, is if customer success managers are also responsible for the upselling and growing the client revenue, then there will also be the accountability that they have growth targets. But what is really important here is that the overall goal and objective normally from customer success managers is to make sure that the client is successful. Because if the client is successful and sees value in the solution, if the client is successful and sees value in the product, then it's way more likely that they will reinvest into the product and reinvest in using the product. Because otherwise, why should they invest if they don't see any value in it? And so, what I want to cover lastly in this season is not season, in this episode, is what or how does a customer success manager do this? What are the tasks and the accountabilities of a customer success manager? And this is a very, very broad overview, like very broad. I will cover more of this later in different seasons and also, as I said, different courses, but it's just for you to get like a really broad overview, especially if you're not into customer success management that much yet. So I divided this into external and internal tasks, put it that way. So external mean directly working together with a client, and internally means directly working with teammates, colleagues within your own company. So what are external tasks of customer success managers? So one is, and the most important one is looking at the customer journey and guide the client through a successful customer journey. So basically making sure that the client has everything at his fingertips, that they see value in the product and they use the product successfully so that they then in the end see that value that they need to reinvest in the solution and see the solution brings value to their product or basically solves their product. What is also a responsibility and a task is to track. So to make sure that all goes according to plan. And all goes according to plan with the client is normally that you do business reviews, that you do success planning, that you do various topics of strategy planning and execution that all lead to making sure that this is given and that the client and yourself, you always know that you're on the right path towards the strategy and the vision that you have. Thirdly, you're giving support, and that does not necessarily mean that you have to do all of it. It just means that you're the key contact person between the client and the company you work for. So, whenever there's a problem, whenever there's an issue, you need to find the resources that are able to help the client so that the client basically gets back on track and those issues are not as getting as big as really posing a problem on the client's success, but also your own success. You do a lot of advisory, and this is especially relevant for strategic customer success management. For just a starting position, you might not go into that detail with that, but still it is important. And I always like to mention it because as early you start as possible, the more able you are to drive in your career when working with clients. And this is the strategic part, and I like to call it advisory. So it's really being a trusted advisor to your clients and giving your clients whatever they need to strive with your products and solutions and services. So it is about providing trends, insights, and knowledge proactively and making sure that the client has everything that they need. And then the fifth part is commercially. So if you do, if you are involved in commercial activities, then this also includes that you will do negotiations and that you will invest in sales activities that will help grow accounts. So accounts basically means grow the revenue of a client. On an internal side, what are you doing? So an internal side is all the supporting activities that you need to be brilliant on the external side when working with clients. So on the internal side, what you're doing is a lot of planning and a lot of strategy. So what you will be doing is that you have or you will be working with clients. So you will either work with key accounts or you will work with small clients, and then you will be planning, okay, what do I want to achieve with each of those clients, but also what do I want to achieve with the whole portfolio of clients that I work with. This can be one or two, but it also can be way more depending on what kind of clients you're looking for. And then you do the tracking. So similar as tracking with your clients, you have to make sure that you're all up to date with everything that's going on around your clients. So everything about checking if all is going to plan. Are there any risks? Is there anything that's going on that you get aware of that you have to do something about? Really digging deep into the data and finding out if there's anything at risk and or any kind of opportunities and dig deeper into them to solve them as quick as possible. The third part is collaboration and communication, which is being able to work together with your internal partners so that you have all the resources that you need to effectively support your clients. So this means being really able to know, okay, who can I ask if I have a specific client ask that comes to me, and how can I delegate well to make sure that, yeah, I have everything I need to support my client. The fourth is about information, and this is about learning as much about the industry, learning as much about the product, learning as much general information that is helpful for you to be this trusted advisor to your clients. So really having knowledge about the trends, having knowledge about insights, having knowledge about benchmarks. So whatever it needs to be that really grows and develops the relationship that you keep with your client. And the fifth part, again optional, is if you work commercially, then it is about planning the commercials, doing all the internal work to get the contract signed to the client. And this can be quite a long process and quite a lot admin work. So you need to be aware of how to make this as smooth as possible. And this will be part of your internal work as well if you work commercially. If not, then this is something you're not concerned with. So this is in a nutshell what you do as a customer success manager. As I said, I offer courses on that. So if you hop over to my website, and I put the link down in the subscription, not in the subscription, in the text in the description of the video, then you can check out the courses that I currently offer, which are mainly live courses, online courses, and also some coaching. If you say, okay, I need to dig deep a bit more here, and I really want to know how it all works, then you can check out below the video. So this is what I wanted to cover in this season 2, episode 2. So give you an overview of customer success, what it is all about, but also what are the objectives and the task and accountabilities of a customer success manager. So hopefully this season and this episode were successful and helpful for you. I would be really happy if you like the video, that you give me a like, you comment if you have a comment or idea or anything that pops to your mind and you want to know more about, then leave a comment below. And also, if you want to subscribe, I would be really happy if you do. It will help me to produce the free videos constantly, and give you more insights here that you can read about, that you can view about. So please, if you prefer Instagram, you can hop over to Instagram and subscribe there. If you prefer a website and a newsletter, then you can subscribe to my newsletter. I put the link below. If you are more the LinkedIn person, I also have a LinkedIn page and I post regularly there as well. I also have a customer success community Deutschland, which basically means Germany. So if you're in Germany, you can also take part in that community where I share insights, but also something about meetups. And with that, I hope this was helpful, and I'm really happy that you tuned in and learned more about customer success and what it is all about. And I wish you a great day and happy to see you and soon in one of the next episodes. So see you then.